Welcome YouTube, this is Lord Zath bringing you another episode of Zath's Replay Theater, and special guest star is Sea-Raptor00.
Howdy, howdy.
And this is kind of fun. This is patch day. This is Wednesday the 17th, and the 0.7.0 patch is live. But I've actually held off on patching this game because of this replay. Raptor, I believe you and I were doing a commentary where you said, "Gee, I really wish we had a Mogami replay," right?
Yeah, I think it was the Eugen one we did last week or something, and we were like, yes, if you have 155 Mogami or Mogami at all, please send them in.
Absolutely. So somebody heeded the call, StatikTheWarmonger, so thank you, Static.
Fantastic.
So let's take a look at this. Is a 5-2 bracket game, so that's kind of cool.
Damn, check this out.
Oh, and it's APOC on APOC action. Tugboat on the enemy team.
Yeah, I see Tugboat on the other team.
Interesting. Silver Fox, I think I saw him in ranked a few times, and I know this Manju Kiyoma, I've played with him a couple times. Donald Trump.
I recognize Seagull's name as well.
Oh, Alt Seagull BBM?
Yeah.
Nice. So a lot of familiar names up here then, huh? We have Leroy Jenkins even.
Oh Lord.
So that's kind of interesting. Also, look at the matchmaker. It's one destroyer on both teams.
Whew, don't screw up, kids.
Or kid.
Or kid, yeah, seriously. Well, with that heal, he can afford a little screw up, but not a big one.
Yeah, but it's interesting. So they've got radar, they've got hydro versus basically heal, speed, and DPM, I guess you would say.
Yeah, I suppose. That cruiser lineup on the other team that's painful. It's a lot of the radars can hurt if he puts it right, and then of course the Atagos can be very, very difficult to finish off.
Yep, and there's 3 different types of battleships too. So North Carolina can easily punish a broadside and make them hurt for days. The Bismarck's got that really good reload, so you have to be careful about that. And then Amagi just does Amagi things, right?
Yeah, we'll see what this guy does. Typically, you like to see Amagi's swinging wide, kind of hanging back, supporting, looking for cruisers they can pop, and he's certainly got a choice of cruisers to shoot at in this game.
Absolutely. Now, of those 3 battleships, though, so let's talk about the Mogami here. What's so special about the 155 Mogami?
Well, back when the game was first released, these guns were probably just a little bit on the OP side, and I'm understating the case quite a bit. Of course, Mogami historically was launched with these guns, and then later on upgraded to the 203s that you see that you also have access to in the game. The trick is that from a straight up damage and DPM perspective, certainly when the game launched, with the way all the different captain skills and everything came together, there was no reason to upgrade the guns. The 155s were just amazing. You could pump their range, you could boost their rate of fire. It was, frankly, Mogami in that configuration of that era was kind of ridiculous. They spent, a good 3 to 4 months trying to rebalance her and get her in a good place, until finally they just hit her with the nerf bat so hard she really has been out of the meta for a long time. She's not a bad ship, and they've made some changes to her slightly along the way that kind of brought her back to relevance again, but she still has also been kind of crept out by the likes of Edinburgh and certainly by Kutuzov, which has kind of taken the place that Mogami used to have.
Yep, absolutely, yeah. So the Mogami lost the ability to use AFT, BFT, and expert marksman with the 155s, and that saw a huge impact on that ship. I remember I loved it, especially with open water stealth fire. I mean, it was just a dirty ship.
Oh, it was ridiculous, and you could do horrible, horrible things to destroyers. You still can, but you're a lot more vulnerable because you got to get in close.
Absolutely. So I kind of stopped the game right here because we have an Atago, so you can see the difference in the guns. These are the 203s that the upgraded Mogami can take if you choose to do that as you grind. Now, also maybe worth mentioning, we have a naked Atago. That's always fun to see.
What the hell?
Especially in the 5-2 bracket.
Yeah, you get the camo for free. Why wouldn't you put that on?
Probably ran out of the other camo. But at least he's running Juliet Charlie flags.
Hey, progress.
Yeah, well, you know, the game I ranked out on, the enemy Atago detonated. So, hey, thanks for that. When that happened, I knew that was a win and that I was going to rank out. So I was so excited. But anyway, so Otago looks at least it's running the right flags, right?
Hmm?
So the Otago might as well be a Takao, basically, because it doesn't get the camel bonuses
Right.
either. And we got the Charles. The Charles looks like he's running all the right flags as well.
He's loaded for bear.
Let's take a look at the kid.
This is the important one.
Mm-hmm. And
I'll take it. He's
Yeah.
loaded as well.
loaded as well. Actually running camel. That's good.
I always love seeing India Delta on a destroyer. Makes me giggle.
So silly. And static, let's see, running Juliet Charlie, running fire, running equal speed Charlie London, which is interesting. Maybe he's trying to get a little more Commander XP, because I see the Commander XP Zulu Hotel there. Other fire flag, speed flag, and consumables. So that's basically all he would want to run, right?
Yeah, I can't think of anything else you'd want to add to that.
You-
I mean, not unless you had some kind of economic goal you were working towards.
Yep, you could go for the flood flag, I guess, Juliet Whiskey, because you do have a lot of torps, and so yeah, that could be helpful. You could
be.
also... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'd say it could be. I mean, it's possible.
Yep, the other thing, too, is maybe the fire reduction one could be helpful.
You know, I've kind of gotten to where I don't take that on my cruisers anymore since they reduced the fire duration.
Yep.
I don't take that as much on my cruisers.
I've actually seen a lot of destroyers using it in ranked, too, which is kind of interesting. Alright, let's take a look over at the North Carolina. For those of you guys who don't follow a lot of ranked replays, because of the nature of ranked, because it's so competitive, I think it's important that we look at and examine the entire team and not just the one player who sent in the replay. Because it's the team that obviously impacts the game the most, not the one player.
No Juliet Charlie on the Bama there.
Yeah, no. And actually missing a few other key flags too, I think.
Does have... Is that fire reduction?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So, you know, consumable reload would be nice to have seen. This guy's got the goods going. And then got the turpits.
Yep, definitely loaded for bear here as well.
Yep. So, okay. Obviously, we can't tell what the enemy team is running for flags or anything like that, but whatever. We'll figure out soon enough. So like Raptor was saying, yeah, we've got the 155s. There's 5 turrets of them, so that means 15 total guns that you're shooting every, God, whatever the reload is. I don't remember.
I think it's about 7.5 seconds, I think, something in that range. I'd have to go back and check, but there should be something along that. We'll see it as he starts firing.
I don't think I have it on here.
That's okay. It'll come up.
Yeah.
You can check the timer when he starts shooting. But yeah, the one thing that I think in the last year they haven't directly buffed the shift, but the commander skill changes they made, particularly adding IFHE to the game, really made Mogami more attractive. Right? Like now, for a long time, the 155s were just nerfed all to hell. The turret traverse was god awful. Reload speed was still good, but just maneuvering with the ship trying to use them was tough. And it was a fire starter, and if you wanted that, you're better off with a Kutuzov. Now you've got the extra, you got 3 more barrels than a Kutuzov, you've got way better stealth than a Kutuzov, you don't have the smoke, your torps are fantastic, you have a higher citadel, you're definitely more vulnerable, but IFHE is what really starts to give this ship punch, because now with those you're putting 15 shells downrange with that extra pen, you can do horrible things.
Yep. And on the enemy team, so the Amagi with IFHE, you can pretty much completely melt that ship because you can HE pen every part of the ship, every part. The North Carolina, the bow and the stern are susceptible, as well as superstructure, obviously. And the Bismarck, though, only really the superstructure.
Yeah, you won't get anything through his belt or his deck, really.
Fortunately, the Bismarck has a very large superstructure, so it's easy to rack up damage that way.
The other thing is, we spent a lot of time talking about Mogami's HE. Her AP is nothing to sneeze at either. That's a lot of AP shells. So again, they reload quick. It's almost kind of headed towards Edinburgh here in the sense of you get a lot of AP shells. They reload very quickly, and against broadside cruisers, they will do bad things.
We're going to fly over, take a look at what happens on the flank here as the Charles just made contact with the Otago. But while you're saying that, yeah, the AP is definitely pretty good, especially against a soft cruiser target like the Edinburgh.
Or that Chapayev.
Or the Chapayev. Yeah, the Chapayev has a really poor turning radius, so if it gets caught broadside, you'll get 1 or 2 salvos into it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I do like how the Charles went flank and the Atago did the typical Atago thing going flank as well. But the important thing is that he's in a position to stall the Atago from moving up the flank.
Right. This is when I play Atago on this map in ranked. This is what I do. I do what this Martel has done, or what Seagull has done here in his Atago. I work the 1-2 line to make sure that I'm not, you know, nobody sneaks around. We don't get a destroyer. We don't get a cruiser. Something.
And I do apologize for the jagginess of the replay. That's just what happens when you pause and play and stuff like that. So, dude,
This is
Charles,
really irritating.
yeah, sorry, Charles got
Ooh,
hammered.
Charles just got
Oh,
whacked.
he gone. He gone.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, he gets a good salvo into the Atago there, but well, that's that.
Yeah, that Amagi, like you were saying earlier, he's just looking for cruisers to nail.
He's looking for cruisers to pop.
And now everybody's laughing at it because it's Leroy Jenkins.
It was Leroy Jenkins. Oh my god, I didn't notice. Oh, that's hilarious.
So, well, now we don't have to worry about watching the flank anymore.
No, flank looks pretty boring, although that Atago is going to turn up the flank and make it a lot more exciting for him in a little while.
Yep. Okay, now we see Static is getting spotted. He opened up. Maybe a little aggressive early there, but as you can see, the enemy Atago, the other Atago, was sitting broadside to him, and fortunately he did not run AP at the start.
I'm curious to see how he plays the ship in these matchups. That was a good hit. You see all that? That's like 6K out of the HE.
Yeah.
Because Atago is a tough ship to get good performance out of in ranked, in my opinion. I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying it's an extra challenge because of the range. That 15.7 range makes it very, very challenging to really move this ship up to where into a good position where she can be useful. Now the kid has just done these guys, both of his cruiser buddies here, a huge service because now they can literally just kind of set up shop here and light some battleships up.
Absolutely. I was going to comment on that if you didn't. So, yeah, the kid's doing the right thing. Obviously, the Lo Yang is going into C-Cap. Obviously, the Lo Yang is going to have the hydro advantage.
Right.
So, you know, what's the point of having the kid go into C at the start? He's making the right decision by smoking up the team, supporting them, and kind of being that little torpedo spotter for him.
Since we mentioned earlier, it looks like the reload on these guns is 8 seconds. No, it's 10.
It looks like 9.5? Is it 10?
Right, but he's probably got AR, and he's
Yeah.
taking a little bit of damage, so... Yeah,
He's about to take a little
9.5,
bit more, I think.
Ooh. Spotted by something.
Yep. And that's the danger of sitting behind a smoke versus being on it, and that's why, for those of you playing Destroyer, if you ever have somebody asking for smoke and you say, I'll come and smoke you, please don't smoke next to your target. Even if it's between the target and whoever they're shooting at, smoke on them if at all possible.
So they're down a ship and down a cap. So they're going to have to do some heavy lifting here to kind of recover from this position. Now, the Lo Yang obviously is capped. We don't know if he's still in there.
Yeah, look at Static. This is interesting. I wouldn't expect to go bow in right here.
Yeah, his
Smoke is
smoke's going to
ending.
be expiring pretty shortly here, so he's going to have to do something. Now, Mogami has something she shares with Atago, and that's if you take concealment mod instead of steering gears mod in that last slot, you get your detection down really low. So she's pretty stealthy when she wants to be.
Yeah, 9.3.
But Static seems more concerned about getting the damage in here. He lights up and immediately has 4 ships looking back at him.
But the important thing is, though, if you notice, he didn't keep shooting as the smoke faded. He actually waited until he was in the position to turn away, and then he shot.
Yes.
So timing is everything in these ships. If you're trying to use the concealment to its maximum.
Now this is good teamwork here off your starboard bow. You see the kid leading the charge there, the Atago following him in. They're going to kind of work around the edge of this cap, see if they can find the Lo Yang, and or just move in and just cap the point and be done with it.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, it looks like their battleships have all but retreated, which means that the Chapayev and Atago over here at sea, and probably the Lo Yang too, are an even match now.
Yeah, and see the smoke there in the cap? That's
Yep.
got to be Low Yang smoke. And the Tirpitz is right behind us. So, like, we've got a battleship backing us up. Those cruisers have to be very careful, which is something that we don't necessarily have to do because
Oh.
their battleships are all cowering in their cap circle.
What happened to that Otago? Did you see that?
The one that was
Seagull.
over by their cap.
Yeah, the one that was on the flank. He won the flank hard. Okay, he just
Uh,
took a big salvo from probably one of the Bama or the NC maybe.
It must have gotten whacked by somebody. There's the Chappie. There's the Otago. Still haven't seen the Low Yang yet, but we know he's around somewhere.
But you make a good point. Now it's 4-on-3 actually at sea, right? So now
Right,
they have
plus-
the
and again,
advantage.
Yeah, and they've got a battleship, so those cruisers, when they're spotted, have to be much cagier than they probably would have otherwise. There's
Notice-
the Low Yang.
Notice also that Static is rotating his consumables, so he used his Hydro, and then when his Hydro goes down, now he's popping his Catapult Fighter, so that he's got almost
Yep.
constant circling around him for torpedoes and spotting.
Yep. So the Low Yang can't hang against 4 ships. He's going to bug out. He may delay them capping, but he's not. If he does, he's going to die and not be there very long.
Take a look at the other flank. This
Why are our
Alabama.
battleships charging? There's no need for this. I see this play like this bothers me because there's no need for our battleships to do anything but sit in our cap and hold it while you've got the majority of your other team pushing them out of sea, and then once we have the cap advantage, we just hold what we got.
Yep.
This Alabama's probably going to throw his ship away for no reason. And he might take somebody with him, but an even trade works in their advantage right now because we're down a ship.
Yep. I would much rather see the Alabama here looking this direction.
Yes, please, and helping us kill cruisers. Like, get these cruisers pinned between 2-3 battleships, and they're out.
Now, at least the North Carolina is not sitting there for that, right? He's turning away. He's aiming at the Chapayev, which of course is huge, but most importantly, basically the Alabama's going to sacrifice himself so the North Carolina can live a little longer.
Right, but they could both have lived just camped on that corner, like you were saying.
Yep.
They know where the Low Yang is. There's no destroyer that's going to come around and surprise them in their face.
I do like the fact that the battleships, whether through intent or accident, have created a crossfire because they're on 2 different sides of the map versus the enemy battleships, which are all clumped together for safety or something.
Yep, I agree. I really, again, I have to give kudos to the Tirpitz player backing up Static because I think that was excellent play on his part. I'm dismayed to see the Alabama play on the other side of the map because it's just unnecessary for him to die like this.
Absolutely.
Because we're about to be 2 ships down. There you go.
Here it is.
The enemy is about to win.
And now Static is in a position where if he opens up, these battleships are all in the same spot, so they'll just start powing on him.
Right. So he's not really needed at sea anymore. They've driven off the Low Yang very handily. The guys there can deal with those cruisers. It looks like the smart, and I agree with this move. He's going to pull back and try and defend A a little bit. Give these guys something else to shoot at, or at the minimum, something else to think about.
Yep, and he can DPM down the Amagi pretty easily. That's who I would focus first.
Right. If nothing else, he can beat these guys up bad enough that they'll be hesitant or slow or whatever to come around the corner and deal with the cap.
Now the Bismarck is about to get out of range to be able to shoot really. So what he's done is he's made it a 2-on-1 instead of a 3-on-1, which is a smart play there. That Bismarck's going to have to go all the way around that island just to be able to shoot again.
Something else I want to highlight here, watching Static drive, you'll notice he's not only just changing his course, he's changing his speed.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really key when you're in one of these cruiser on battleship engagements like this. Don't just change your heading, vary your speed as well. You really mess with their aim. Yeah, he takes some damage there, but he's going to take something. He can't avoid it all.
It's going to happen regardless, but I think you're kind of pointing out why Cruiser is probably the toughest class to play in ranked, because there's just so many little nuances you have to be able to do.
Yeah.
Oh, here comes that Bismarck. See, now he's around the island.
Yep. Bismarck's coming around the island so now, and Static is not careful. He's going to ground himself here. He's got to really watch this turn.
Fortunately, he is slowing down.
Yeah, it looks like he's pulled up to about half speed, so he should be able to make it.
He's not turning anymore.
So I think maybe he's just going to go dark and... Yeah, I guess he's going to just stop shooting. Yep.
Interesting choice.
So now he's undetected. I'm curious to see what his next play is here. Bismarck is kind of starting to edge towards torpedo range. He's 10-kilometer torpedoes.
Yep.
But he's turning out. That's not going to help. It's like he's just going to get moving and use his stern turrets to reset the Bismarck.
Yeah, Bismarck reset himself.
Yeah, Bismarck left the cap. What the hell? Why would you go to all that trouble and then leave the cap circle?
Nice. So their Otago goes down. That's pretty important.
That's excellent.
Their Chapayev is spotted, and everyone's telling him to shoot him, so maybe it'll happen. North Carolina is being ganged up on by the Bismarck and Amagi. Oh, big hit.
Yeah, it wasn't a sit, but at least 1 or 2 regular pens there. So now he's got to be, he's probably, if he's not too careful, he's probably 1 salvo from death, depending on who shoots at him, so he's going to be very careful here. He's got a little bit of cover with that island. Yeah, he definitely has AR. His reload right now is like 7 and change.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
This is one of the other reasons I love ships like this. One of the reasons I take Otago is it's so, if you've got battleships to farm, it's so easy to get high calibers and rank. So he can reset these guys for days, but he needs his teammates to push on to A there and do something. He can keep these battleships busy though, that's for sure.
But notice how none of the battleships are targeting him anymore. So he almost has free range to just turn and DPM.
It looks like that's what he's about to do. Somebody's picked him up again. The Amagi's guns are pointed there. His stern guns are pointed the wrong direction.
Yeah, I think it's the Bismarck that has picked him up.
Probably. He's actually in a pretty good spot. If he focuses this Amagi, he can probably get him off the board.
Mm-hmm.
Bismarck's out of range now. He can't even reset him. So they're going to get A. Yep.
But, I mean, it's not worth dying just for that cap.
No, it's not. Never throw your ship away for a cap. So the enemy team's over 900 points now, so they're running out of time. Now, he's going to get this Amagi here in a minute.
Nice,
Somebody's
Otago
gonna get
goes
him.
down.
Excellent.
That's huge.
That is huge. They needed those points. Yeah, this Amagi will be out on the next salvo.
I've seen so... There we go. I was going to say, I've
Turpitz
seen
gets
so
it.
many battleships
There we go.
just barely survive.
So just like that, we've got a lead in ships, even though we're trailing a cap. My instincts tell me that might be enough for us to win if we just don't die at this stage. I don't know.
Kid is
Lo
low.
Yang is up there in front of the Turpitz, though.
Chapayev goes down.
Chappie's out. That should seal the deal at this point. Even if they never get another cap, that they should
Turpitz is...
still win.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Yep, Turpitz is out now. Now he's got good island cover here, right? As long
Yep.
as he's got spotting, he can just lob shells over.
And you see what Static is doing is he's keeping his target between, the island between him and his target, and nobody else is at spotting range, so he's getting away with this.
Yep, this is very, very smart play. This is the kind of thing you have to take advantage of in a cruiser when the enemy team gives you the chance, and you have to have map awareness to see it and use it.
If you look at the smoke, you can see that shells are coming out of it, so the Lo Yang is just camping in his smoke.
Yep.
Which means
Now here's
that,
the interesting thing: we're about to get into B. See the Otago and the Kid.
yes,
So that'll slow them down. We've got a 20-point lead there. That's it. It'll be even now while we cap B. That North Carolina is out. Good torps.
the naked
Well done.
Otago comes through.
Yeah, that should seal this up. So overall, this is winding down. You can see, I mean, so this has not been, there was no, massive, oh, look, stellar play kind of thing, right? But this was an excellent game on Static's part, right? Just steady, constant damage. Look at his damage, 130-something K. Good positioning, very heads-up map awareness, pulling back to cover A when his team was pushing through C and A was kind of falling apart. No, he didn't keep them from capping it, but he got some defense ribbons out of it. He slowed them down a little bit. And, again, racking up big damage on all these battleships.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is cool to see because when I've played ranked, whenever I saw Mogami, I never really saw it do much except die.
Yeah.
So to see this kind of playstyle, it showcases, you know, you're almost playing as an Atago, but you don't have the heal that can back you up if you screw up. Um, but to compensate for that, you've got the insane DPM capability.
Yep. And insane is exactly the word for it too. I mean, look, I mean, just the number of shells he's been landing, the fire damage, it's big.
Absolutely. I'm just slowing this down so that way we can get our final comments in and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, this was excellent. Thanks for sending this in, Static. This to me, I love being able to showcase to people that basically, still, you know, we saw this last season, people ragging on certain ships. Oh, you can't play that ship in ranked. Look, if you're confident in a ship, or if you feel like you know how to use it, man, or if you use it right, any ship is technically viable. It's just
Absolutely.
a question of knowing how to use it, knowing the positions to put it in to get the maximum use out of it, and so on.
And I just love the fact that this Bismarck, it almost looks like he's grounded himself.
He did. He grounded himself.
And so he's just sitting there getting shot. They've lost, and the Lo Yang is doing absolutely nothing but trying to save his star desperately by just shooting whatever he can shoot, which is very interesting. Because I have a feeling in a second he's about to appear right in front of Static.
Well, he's obviously out of the smoke has faded, so we're spotted. But I don't know that we'll actually get to see the Lo Yang.
Mm-hmm. Well,
he probably won't appear.
4 points away from victory.
Yeah,
so.
You're about 4 seconds from the game being over here.
Yeah, so I'd like to echo Raptor and thank you, Static, for sending in the replay. This will be the last replay prior to 0.7.0, so I do apologize if you sent in a replay and it did not get featured. Just keep trying, and you'll get yours up there soon, don't worry.
Yeah, that was blast. Thanks for sending that in, man. Always good to see. I love seeing good Mogami play. A lot of people, like we were saying, have kind of written off the ship. She's not as good as she once was, but that doesn't make her bad by any stretch.
Absolutely not. All right, well, Raptor, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Anytime, man. Thanks for asking me.
Yeah, no problem. And those of you on YouTube, as you guys know, do your typical YouTube stuff of like, subscribe, comment, and whatever. Dislike if you hate it too. But more importantly, send me replays. I want to continue to do some ranked commentaries. This weekend I'd look to record some of those, and then maybe get some Musashi games out there, because that just got released, and some other things. We'll see. All right. Well, thanks again, Raptor. Take care, man.
Thanks. See you later.